The S&P 500, the Nasdaq 100, that's what we're talking about specifically here on the day. Now, we had the government shut down, avoided, it's gone. Don't have to worry about it. But when we look at the price action here on the day, I do believe there's potential for this week to turn greener than expected, and I'll go into exactly why. Now, when we look here to just start off, this is S&P 500 futures. You can see this level that we were kind of coming into, this 4,300 level we've been talking about so much. Now, if I show you a little bit of a visual on, higher time frames, there's a concern here, right? You have your head and shoulders kind of playing out. You're breaking down. You broke that demand level right there. You're flagging back into it. That's where you're at, okay? Important to realize. Now, the underlying thing that we have to look at here is your 200 SMA and things along those lines, and those come into play right here. Now, we've seen that we're obviously basing and that buyers are holding you above this level. Today was a pretty abysmal day when we look at the S&P in general. Now, we look at Nasdaq. We'll go into that here in a second, but the S&P just kind of chopped and had downside all day, bouncing at this level. Okay. Now, I'm going to get into the case and why I believe there's upside potential for this week. Okay, so give me a sec. We go into Nasdaq real quick, in Q1, just the Nasdaq overall, all day long, higher lows. You can see a completely different story. You're getting rejected so far at 15K, but I believe you're going to work your way through this. The Nasdaq obviously finding support down in the zone, which we've talked a lot about as well. Coming back into just a lot of touches of this area, getting a lot of support. Now, let me paint you the picture of why I anticipate some upside. Okay. Now, the number one thing I want to talk about right now of what's bringing us down, what's enabling the market to have downside, okay? And it's really simple. This is investing.com if you want to check this data out for yourself, okay? When we look at a broad market and what's impacting us and bringing us down, it's 100% data, right? And we've been saying this, right? We don't expect sellers to step in or to get aggressive or to actually do anything until data gives us a reason to. Inflation rises back up, things along those lines. Now, this week specifically, it's some PMI, but besides that, there's really no data coming out. Tuesday, there's nothing. It's some Fed members, and I would listen to Fed members. That's about it. But the OPEC meeting, which will really be big for energy, but there's nothing really huge. You have some non-manufacturing. These aren't going to come back into inflation data readings as far as CPI, PPI, PCE. So you're having really nothing. Friday, you do have employment data. That's the biggest thing of the week. So what do I mean by this? Why do I think this is important? Because next week, you're going to have more inflation data. This is your runway, if you will, or just no turbulence right now. And so going into this week, if the bulls are going to get a bounce, it has to be here, at least over this stretch, because we know going into next week, we don't assume it's going to be good with inflation data again, okay? And so just giving you a visual where you're at, you're at the 200 SMA here. Nasdaq's at support again, bouncing out of support, 14.6. We talked heavily about this. That's what's happening. Now, if you want confirmation for the downside, which I think this is what you have to look for, below 14.6, very bearish. Below 4,300 ES, very bearish, but you're above those levels and you're bouncing. That's number one. Now, again, we're looking at what's happening. You have oil dipping, getting rejected at that level we mentioned, 93, 94, getting rejected. We also look at yields. These are very interesting. The 30-year pumping really nice today. The 10-year broke highs from 2000, going back 2007. The 5 years getting love. The 2 years trying to get some love as well. The DXY did break over highs. Again, you bounced right off that level we talked about. You're back over it. As you can see, this was your banking crisis highs. You're going back into 2022 levels, back into December. This is an issue, okay? But again, what does this information tell me? Just really quick before we jump into equities and stocks I'm liking. For me, this information gives me a clear viewpoint that the fundamental viewpoint hasn't necessarily changed because, one, energy is still too high. Two, inflation is still an issue, obviously. But in the short term, we have to acknowledge that you're not probably just going to go straight down. And again, even though I am bearish, I do believe this is the area and this is your probably one opportunity over the next few weeks to get some upside. So again, that's my anticipation. That's what I'm viewing here. So confirmation on a Nasdaq, you're really looking to get above 15.1 roughly. 15.1, you're probably pushing back into maybe 15.3. Possibly, I don't want to get too aggressive, but 15.4, very possible. ES, a little bit more interesting because it's so weak. It's just obviously the weakest thing out here. I don't think you're going to get back to 4,500. It's entirely possible, but I just don't want to put that out there. I'd be targeting more towards 4,400 in this range here. If you get above 4,400, you're going to get some real volatility back into 4,460 most likely. But these are things to be viewing. Now, what I want to do now is take a dive into more of the equities and the underlying movement in the market. So today, the best visual I was able to give was like XOK. And so what this tells us is like your tech ETF and what's happening here. And going back to the 27, this is when you bottomed and you basically been like making higher highs and higher lows since basically the 27th, right? Pushing up. Now, this was one of the only sectors that kind of held the day green or held the day together, right? So last night, if you don't know, NVIDIA got a price target raised by Goldman Sachs. It actually got a price target conviction change from a buy to a conviction buy, and the raise was a $600 price target. Pretty bullish. Also, too, Tesla missed on their delivery numbers, just to let you know, and they still ended the day relatively green. Okay, so going back into XOK, just giving you a visual of the tech names in there as well. Apple had a good day as well, decent. But where you saw pain throughout the market was kind of everywhere else. XLV, healthcare, you ended at 0.1%. But if we look here on the daily chart, so you can get a viewpoint, very red for most of the day, and you kind of wake back up. XLE, energy names, red. XLF, finance, bank names, red. XLI, industrials, red. So what is, I can go on a laundry list. XLU, utilities, very red. So what does this mean? Again, I don't believe everything else in the market is going to go down while tech just shoots up. I don't think it's going to happen. But you're seeing, just in my opinion, some relief. And again, that's what points me in that direction looking at the remainder of the week. I don't want to tell people you go hammer shorts. I've been saying that when you're at 14.6, 4,300 on ES and Nasdaq, you can't go short there. You have to be patient. You have to be waiting. So I always want to make sure you guys understand what's happening there. If you guys want to get updates throughout the day as well, make sure you're going and following us on Twitter. It's all there for you on my personal Twitter. So you guys can see the link is somewhere down below. I give you charts all day long, things I'm liking as well. If you guys want to, I really appreciate if you follow and subscribe to the channel. Helps out tons. I appreciate all the comments. And again, every single day, Monday through Friday, we have videos for you so you are prepared. The Discord link is also down below if you want to get one-on-one engagement with us, understand how we're trading, why we're trading, what we're getting in, what we're getting out of, everything across the board there. So again, that's what we're reviewing. But I can only put so much emphasis on how we're moving and where I'm kind of targeting here, okay? Now, I have to keep saying, though, DXY moving like this is not good. It's not ideal, and I don't think this is just like a hiccup. It's looking relatively terrible. So again, even though I think there's the possibility of some upside across the board on NQ, if it starts to mount 15.1, I like it. Don't get me wrong. But I have to go into the mentality of I think it's short-lived until data proves inflation's on the downtick. Now, the Fed consistently has been saying, they said it again today. If you follow me on Twitter, I posted it for you guys. The Fed continues to say, energy is the problem, energy this, energy that. If we remember over the past year, the Fed did not say energy. They kept energy out of their mouth when inflation was doing good things. But now energy is a problem. Everyone wants to talk about it. And I think you have to be able to understand that the Fed is voicing a real concern there, and it's a real problem as we speak. So that's where we're at right now. Again, if you don't understand what I said, please go back. Or if you have questions, comment down below. We would love to answer those questions. Let's go over some equities. Number one, Apple. We'll cover this one really quick. What you're looking at here on Apple for some upside, you get above 174, which I think you're going to do tomorrow, most likely. You get above 174, you have a target of 177, then 180. But I think over 174, easy money into 177 looks really good. Until then, you're not touching it for longs at all. NVIDIA, what a day. So again, you push over this 445 level. We'll go into that here in a second. But the bigger level we were kind of watching, again, let me just throw this out real quick so you can see. Basically 440 around this level right here, give or take. You gap right above it and you hold right there. Now I zoom out just a little bit more. You can see this is where the gap kind of starts back here, 444.8. Going through, this is also a major level. As you can see throughout the day today, one touch, hold, looks really good. This, in my opinion, nice little bull flag aiming to break back over 450. Over 450, high potential chance you're hitting 460. The big level you're watching here is 464. I tweeted this and I'll have more stuff going on Twitter later. But over 464, I think shorts will start to have to cover. Me and Jay have talked a lot about this. And if that happens, you can start pushing back into highs on NVIDIA. And I want that to be said as well, that you stocks like Nvidia and Tesla, you don't necessarily need the market to be running up to get the love. Even on today, Nvidia, very green for the entire day, even when NQ and SPY were pulling back pretty heavy. So understand where we're at. Tesla, I know you guys have a lot of questions here. You're looking for a break and hold at 252. That's pretty much it. You hold 252, you're looking for upside in 259 and then 264. Keep that really simple as well. One thing I do want to give you guys, something that I've been looking at on the day as well. I'm going to come back to equities, but I will say, when I look at something like QQQ, it's not picture perfect, but you have to be able to identify what's happening. And I'm trying to show you guys the unbiased view of this as well, right? You're forming an inverse head and shoulders down here, whether you like it or not, right? You have your shoulder here, and then obviously your head down here. Very clear. The neckline's also pretty established as well. You can see the neckline almost 361.6. We can't hold above 361.5, but a good close to end the day, and you're trying to get over that in the after hours. Inverse head and shoulders, probably going to move up into roughly 367, possibly 369 in this range up here. A lot of love, which could lead to some quick potential upside on some tech names, a good dead cat, whatever you want to call it, even if bad data continues to come in next week. So again, I got to keep saying this because I know people are going to get upset. But again, just because you are in a bearish trend or you're looking for downside, you have to be able to identify as a day trader where the opportunities are. So I think tomorrow, again, if this can just hold up around these levels into tomorrow without crazy bad news, you're going to fill this gap at 364 quick. I would suspect within the first hour and a half of trading personally. So that's my viewpoint there. Another name, probably my last name I want to mention here actually, Microsoft. One of my favorite setups. I called out the head and shoulders also on Twitter today, so you have that. I posted it way earlier. You're at 321.78. I'm giving you guys a visual too of why I was looking at this, what we're looking for here in Discord as well. Go back to trade ideas, what we saw here this morning. Back here 319, 318. As you can see, you get above it. We're looking for targets at 320, then 322. So you're getting those levels, you're getting those pushes. Really good action, really good behavior. This is what you wanted to see here. Microsoft pushing up and giving you more of a visual too. If you like Microsoft, you like what's happening here today, and we're getting that gap fill tomorrow, right? Over 322, I think you have more upside, 325, 326. I don't want to push the narrative and say 330, but it is a possibility. So again, these are names I'm liking. These are things that I'm looking to trade going into tomorrow, and I'm being pretty, I don't want to say necessarily aggressive, but I think the opportunities are specifically in the short-term trading and the scalping opportunity. If you have questions, again, comment down below. We'd love to answer those. Have a good one, traders.